Hey guys, first of all, I wanted to say thank you again to all of you who have been subscribing to this channel. Again, I'm not exactly sure why you guys keep doing that because, to be fair, this channel has been pretty boring lately because I have not been posting much content, which should change pretty soon. Because I have an update to share with you that relates to that. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for your continuous support despite the lack of content. Second of all, I wanted to share an update about what I've been up to personally when it comes to my Japan discovery journey, if you want to call it that. So recently, I was awarded a scholarship to go study in Japan for 2 years, and I should be going this spring, hopefully within the next month or so. And as part of this scholarship, I will be enrolled in Japanese courses. I will have to take a placement test first, and then they will see where to place me, which level, which one of the ends. And once I start enrolling in those classes, I will hopefully be able to start posting a lot more content that relate to language learning. Now, if you've been following this channel for a while, you would know that I mainly post about topics that relate to the Japanese language. But as someone who has been interested in like Japanese topics in general, and I've seen people of like minds also around here. So I started exploring other kinds of topics. So if you have a topic that you think I should be talking about, please let me know and we'll see how it goes. Now, I don't think I've ever done a video about dating, especially dating in Japan, but I just read a comment this morning that really kind of upset me in a way. So this person, it was like a comment that somebody posted, and he was saying that he was seeing this girl and he thought everything was going well, and then all of a sudden she told him that she was basically breaking up with him, telling him that she just had some time to kill and he was around, so she decided to go with that. Basically, she was bored. And what I was saying, my wife was with me at the time, and I said, I wish I could just was with this guy back then just to tell him what to do because I've been through situations like these before while I was dating in the past, whether it's Japanese girls or otherwise. And there are ways that you can do to sort of kind of like fix the situation. But then I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't. I'm going to give you a method that worked for me, and I'm also going to tell you why you should not follow that method. So if this is something that you'd be interested in, just stay tuned because that's going to be pretty much what I'm going to be talking about from now on. Anyway, as I was saying earlier, I've been to Japan 6 times in the past, and I have had my fair share of dating. And the first thing I can tell you about dating in Japan is it's relatively easy to get a date there if you do it the right way, but it is not easy to find serious commitment. And I'm about to tell you why. So I'm going to share with you some of the ways there were some of the methods that I followed to get dates while I was there. And pretty much all of these methods can work, but some of them I'm going to say that you probably don't want to do that for some reasons that I will share with you. And then, as I was saying, in the end, I will talk about this specific case, this guy who left the comment, and I will share like what worked for me in the past to address that and why it was a bad idea. Okay, now here's the thing: there are many ways that you can meet people in Japan. I should say I'm not just going to say girls, but people in general. One of them is online dating, and I know a lot of people when as soon as they hear it, online dating, be like, yeah, that never works. Well, I mean, it works to an extent. I think, at least in my experience, it was easy to find people to go out with when it comes to online dating. And I promise you, I'm not like especially good looking or anything like that. I'm just like your average Joe. But I could still say like I had no problems finding someone to go out with. Now, commitment is like a different story because I think, and I'm sure that's not the case for everyone. By the way, every time you hear something about Japan from someone, it's their personal experience. You can bring two people, each one of them will tell you a completely different story. about how life in Japan is, how dating in Japan is mainly influenced by their story. So I'm telling you my own sort of biased narrative from my own experience, and then you can form your own judgment, or if you're there, if you're planning to go there, you can form your own judgment as well. Maybe you can share it with us. So it can be different. Just the it can be different. Your experience can be different depending on your experience. Another way to go about it is to go to bars. And again, I mean, I think you already see where this is going. So I don't usually drink that much. So the only times I've been to bars was like, I meet some guys there and we just decide to just, hit a bar or something like that. And again, like while sitting there, sometimes I get approached by Japanese girls, and they start a conversation. We exchange Line, which is like the uh, sort of like the communication app of choice that Japanese people use, if you're familiar with it. And yeah, then we decide to meet up later and whatnot. Of course, there are all kinds of people that you're going to meet there. Like the quality can greatly vary, but I think there are a lot of the so-called gaijin hunters, which are basically people. Don't worry, I don't think they're gonna hunt you, in real life, but they're just people who are looking to improve their English. So that can be some of the people who you're going to meet. So again, I don't want to talk too much about this because I do not recommend it, because it's hard to find someone serious in a bar. And I think that just applies everywhere. It's common knowledge, it's not only in Japan. So where else? For example, if you're a student, you can try to meet people in your school. And those will, I'd say some of them will be decent people. However, for me personally, that did not work. And the reason why it did not work is because I think it seems to me, from my experience, having talked with so many Japanese people and especially Japanese girls, um, Japanese people tend to think that foreigners will not be there forever. Even if you're a student, even if you have a job, they think that they don't want to get emotionally entangled with you because they think you're eventually going to go home. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Like if you're looking for something serious, you need to look into that. Another thing that you need to look into is the enormous cultural difference. And I cannot stress this enough. Japanese culture is so, so different from, let's say, Western cultures. And one of the main things about Japanese people is that they generally, when I say Japanese people, I'm talking about the majority of my personal experiences. So I'm sure there are people there who are different. But from what I can tell, Japanese people are very discreet about what they truly think about something. So it didn't happen to me, but I've met people who have been dating people for like a long time, and then they just realized that that person suddenly left them, and they realized that that person did not like them, like for a long time. And so they're like, why couldn't they just tell me? Well, Japanese people do not like confrontations. They do not like when things get socially awkward. So they're probably not gonna tell you. And they even have a saying. I don't know how it translates in Japan. I used to know, but it roughly translates to like reading the wind. Like you should be able to read the wind or read the air. And what that means is like you should not depend on what the person tells you. You should try to conclude what they feel like. And as a Westerner, you might think, well, that's too much work. How can I know how a person feels, especially if you're not an empath? Well, that's the thing. So you need to be able to communicate communicate your feelings, which I think Westerners were pretty good at that, and also communicate or try to sort of understand how people feel about the whole thing. But keep in mind, there's a sort of like a caveat about meeting people in school. First of all, it's difficult, very difficult, I think, to find someone, even to go out on a date with, because those are people who you are seeing like almost every day. And they keep that in mind. The same applies to coworkers, by the way. So if you're like considering to date a coworker, you'll find that not very easy because those people think about the future. They think like, what if things don't work out? I'm still going to be seeing this person like every day and things will be awkward. And you should be thinking about that as well. Like if things don't work out, what are you, it's going to be awkward, being around that person. So these are the ways that I just think, like for me at least, it did not work very well. Online dating or bars. I mean, if you're looking for a serious commitment, meeting someone at school or in the workplace, someone who you can always see or you can frequently see. So you might be wondering, okay, what else works? What can work? Now I'm about to tell you that. So, for one, if you are just visiting, I think it's worth, or even if you're a resident, it's worth staying in some of them international hostels, like the sort of like cabin style hotels or whatever that have like an international base, because these places usually have sort of like a hangout area, hangout room, and all you have to do is just hang out, just sit. I remember, and I swear I'm not exaggerating, I used to just go there and sit. That's all. I'm not very good or very comfortable at approaching people at all, and I feel like I'm imposing myself on them, so I just go there and I sit down. And there's a certain quality about those places, like they make people loosen up a bit. So people feel more sort of like social around that. And I'm talking about Japanese people, by the way. So you might think, well, I mean, international hostels, these are full of foreigners. Well, yes, they are, but they also have Japanese people who stay there, like students or whatnot. And by the way, I also met some great friends there. So you shouldn't, even if you're looking to find someone to marry, you shouldn't just focus on that only, because there is a chance you're going to meet some great people. I've met some great people. I met some good friends while I was there. So yeah, what I was doing, what I used to do, I would just go like in the evenings and after taking a shower or whatnot, and I would just, sit. And sometimes people just approach me and start conversations, and we just hit it off and start talking with each other. Another place, which that's kind of like a controversial place for the purpose it's meant for, that would be churches. Now, in Korea, for example, which I think like it has so many differences, but also so many similarities with Japan. Many people, including locals, they meet each other at the church where they go. And some people, I'm not saying you should do it. I'm not here to tell you what you should or should not do. I'm just here to tell you about things that can work and things that do not usually work. And one of the ways that can work is meeting someone at church. And this is something that even locals use. So, I mean, if you think about it, like communities or societies like Japan or South Korea, they're not very social people, like when it comes to meeting new people who they don't know. So you can't just approach someone on the street and say hello or something like that. They're going to think you're a creep. And I think in places like America or like, England or Europe, it's kind of similar to these days. It's not like in the movies where, someone just approaches someone, starts a conversation, and then they just hit it off. It doesn't work that way. Unless, like I said, if you're like in an international hostel, then yeah, you could try. Don't push yourself too hard, though. I think if a person does not want to be around you, you're going to know. Well, I mean, maybe in Japan it'd be hard to know, but again, if you start practicing how to sort of like read the wind, as they say, then I think you'd be okay. But yeah, church is one of those places. And then there is language exchange programs. Now, many universities have this thing. There are websites, there are apps that do that. And these are, again, it's not meant for dating. And some of them explicitly say these places are not for dating. But some people go there, they meet someone as a language partner. So I wouldn't call this a gaijin hunter, because that's a person who's just making it straight. Like, I am here to meet a language partner. Now, am I saying you should kind of like deceive them or lie to them? Or I'm not here to do some, what do you call that? Moral projection. I'm not here to do that. I'm just telling you things that can work in a practical way. So you could just meet someone with an honest intention to be their language partner, and sometimes things just evolve from there. And so that's one of the things that do work. Now, I want to move to this specific case that I had. And, I'm not flexing here, but I've had a fair share of dating, whether it's in Japan or in like the States or in other places. And I sometimes feel that I need to share this knowledge, especially when I see someone making the mistakes that I used to do. Now, This is not a dating channel. So if you're only here for like dating tips, then maybe probably that may not be your place. I'm not saying you shouldn't be here. Welcome to be here. But this channel is mainly about Japanese language and culture. But every now and then, I don't see harm in just, because I feel dating is part of the culture. And feel free to disagree. You can let me know if that's not something that you'd like to see. Anyway, so as I was saying in the beginning, this person here said that he's been seeing this girl for a while. I don't know how long. And she just out of the blue told him that she no longer wants to be around him and that he was just like something that she can kill time with. And that was it. She just like ghosted him or something like that. And the guy was saying that he feels hurt, he feels betrayed after like all the emotional investment that he put in her. I'm not here to blame him. I'm not here to criticize him or her or anybody here. Whenever someone tells you that they do not want to be around you because you are, let's say, just like someone to kill time with, and I do want to commend that person, that ex-girlfriend, for her honesty. Because many people would just go with like, it's not you, it's me, I'm complicated, I'm whatever. But this one, she was like straightforward. I mean, truth hurts. Yes, it hurts many people. But she was straightforward with it. Now, how do you respond to that? I think what many people do, especially guys, they would take things personal and they would say, like, how dare she treat me like this and call me a boring person, and how come she didn't tell me early on or whatnot. That doesn't make any difference. Look, when someone wants to leave you, especially a girl, there is not much you can do to have her back like right away. At least without using some of the techniques or for like the technique that I'm about to mention to you, which I think it can work like probably a good 80 to 90% of the time. So a person comes and says, hey, I'm breaking up with you because I'm bored or something like that. Then you can just take that in. If you're eating, you should just kind of like continue eating and listen to that person till the end. Do not interrupt them. And then once they finish talking, then you would just simply tell them in the coldest way possible, be like, well, I'm really happy that we're having this conversation because I was feeling the same way. And so I appreciate you for taking the burden off of me to sort of like say that. Again, I'm not saying you should lie or you should do this. I keep saying that, I keep repeating myself. But that's just one thing that you could say. So yeah, you just tell them that and then you move on. Now, I think what you're going to see, maybe not immediately, but you're going to see a certain pushback, unexplainable or something that you cannot explain right away, certain pushback. And this pushback can come like a couple of ways. Number one, they would start having second thoughts about it, be like, hey, maybe I spoke too fast, I kind of miss you, maybe we should just keep talking. The other one, which is like sort of like a lesser pushback, is they would tell you, okay, well, maybe we can just be friends. We can stay as friends. Now, how you respond to this is entirely up to you. What I recommend is, especially if they suggest like, let's be friends, just tell them no. Tell them like, hey, I'm not interested in friendships right now. I have enough friends. But anyways, I wish you the best of life. The best of life. I wish you the best of luck. And take care. So, as I said, 80 to 90% of the time, they're going to come back to you. Not always, but to my knowledge, like most of the time. But here's the thing. Here's the crucial thing that you need to know. They're not getting back to you because they're suddenly not bored with you. They're still bored. They still don't like you, maybe if they don't. And just, that's just the hard truth that you need to accept. It's just that there's this thing in human nature where people care a lot more about losing something than earning the same thing. There's also another element, which is that humans in general, especially like in this generation, I wouldn't say everyone, but there are many people who just love validation. And by telling them that you feel the same way, that's going to make them doubt themselves. So they would want to come back just to prove that they are worthy. That's basically. I heard a story a while back, and I will just probably end the video after this. It's kind of funny. It was told by a mother of like a 21 year old girl. And that mom was saying that my girl, who's like 21, she's in college, she told me that she's going to break up with her boyfriend, and I said yes. So she went out on that sort of like breakup date, whatever you want to call it. And then she came back sobbing. So the mom was like kind of alerted. She's like, "Did he hit you? Did things just go bad?" She said, "No." And then she's like, "What happened?" "He just broke up with me before I get to break up with him." So the mom was like, "Well, that's terrific news. You didn't even have to go through that awkward situation. What's wrong?" Well, what was wrong was that this person, she wanted to break up with him first so she can feel, I don't know, better about herself. I mean, you may think this is petty, but there are so many people like that. And it's sad. It's sad for, both ways. It's sad that there are so many people who just are this desperate for validation. And there are also, in return, there are people who are desperate to just, hook up or get married or whatever. Now, before I finish this video, I'd like to remind you guys that, again, if you missed the beginning, I should be in Japan for 2 years, starting in March, maybe mid to late March. And I'll also be enrolling in Japanese courses, so I'll be posting a lot more videos about Japanese language, which is like it was the original purpose of this channel. I will be sharing what I'm learning, how I'm learning it. And I don't think there's any harm about posting things that relate to Japanese culture. So let me know what you guys like, and I'll be happy to try to accommodate that as much as I can. Take care, God bless you, and I'll see you guys in the next one.